Hi, my name is Zoe Cross, and I'm here to talk to you about the Analyze Improve section of my project for FS 504 Food Quality Management. Here's a little review of my problem statement. I've been having issues starting on my schoolwork at the time I want to. I keep putting it off until later and later, and it's leading to a lot of stress and feelings of a lot of disappointment in myself. I don't believe that the reasons for putting off my homework are related to the specifics of the assignments that I do. For example, I don't believe that it has to do whether it's a writing assignment or a math assignment. I don't think that there is a relation there. This is mostly due to personal feelings and a sort of self-analysis that occurred as the project progressed. If they are somehow related, I wouldn't be able to change that aspect anyway, as I need to be able to do all my homework no matter the type. I really do believe that the reason for the delay is something within me, and it's for this reason that I decided to use root cause analysis to find the root of the problem. Specifically, I used the 5 whys analysis method to seek the sources. This was done because it seems like that method would work really well to find the source of a human-based problem, something inherent. I used a flowchart to kind of organize my questions and answers to myself. So as you can see on the top, the main point is, why am I not starting work when I want to? And then it leads down to other reasons, and from there it leads to questions and so on and so forth. And at the bottom, the various colored boxes are the root causes. And I colored the root causes based on whether or not I could actually do anything about them. It's red for things that I can't really change or affect in the short period of time, and blue for things that I can actually have an impact on. So, for example, one of the things I can't really have an impact on right now is a fear of failure. That's something that's inherent to me that is going to take a long time for me to get over. So, that's not really something I can work on in the scope of this project. The 2 root causes that ended up coming to the surface that I can actually do something about was a lack of sleep, and because homework is taking priority over my sleep, and a loss of enjoyable time for me, a loss of time that I feel like I'm happy and doing things that I enjoy. So here are the improvements that I set out, and I started these at the beginning of November, and I've gone until like the end of November, which is right about now, and that's the data that I have so far, but I'm going to continue taking data until the end of the project to get more because of the Thanksgiving break that took out quite a bit of data. So I'm going to continue doing this until the very end, but here's what I have so far. The solution to the first issue was to reduce tiredness by getting more sleep. In the past, I found that taking naps when I get home, if I'm tired that day, and then working after I get up from the nap has worked really well for me. It lets me sleep off my tiredness, and then I can get up and work for a while and then go back to bed. That seems to work pretty well for me. For the second issue, the solution's a little bit harder to provide. It's really hard to take time for myself, especially when I get very busy. So to solve this, I work to provide some time for myself every day to do something I enjoy doing. I also strive to make working on my homework a less negative experience. This involved actions like trying to ensure I was physically comfortable, warm, and maybe soft pajamas, making sure that I had snacks and drinks, that I had music, and that I took small breaks so that it didn't feel like such a large chunk of unpleasant time. Yes, as I said before, they start at the beginning of November and are going to continue to the very end of the project at the end of the semester. So here's a review of the way that I was taking my measurements. The data was collected in my schedule books because I always have them, and it allows me to easily keep track of the data. I marked in the book the time that I got home or got up and the time that I started working, and all the times were approximated to the nearest quarter hour. And additionally, for this new section during the Improve section, when I count the time till work begins for the days I take a nap, I add the time before napping to the time it takes after I wake up to start working. So that it involves the whole time since I've gotten home before I start working. So here's my baseline data, just a little review. This is before any improvement. This was collected before I tried to make any improvement. So, and here's my data after improvement. I organized it by whether or not I took a nap on that day, and I organized it by the weekday average and weekend average as I had before. So here's a summary of the results. My original desired goals were to be able to start working 1 to 2 hours after I got home during weekdays and about 3 hours after I wake up on weekends. As you can see, I didn't quite get to that point, but I did make what seemed to be significant improvements. My baseline average was 3.92 and my improvement average was 2.97. So it's almost a full hour of improvement. So I don't know yet if that's statistically significant, but it seems significant to me. That's part of my future goals, is to potentially review that information, all this information, and make sure that it is statistically significant, which is hard because I have so little data. If you compare my weekday average, you can see that it was pretty much the same. The weekday average itself didn't actually improve that much, which was surprising. I expected the weekday average to improve more. And so I'm still not quite reaching my goal on that one. However, the weekend average had a large improvement, almost 2 hours, which is getting it a lot closer to the time that I want. The other big difference is the difference between the nap day average and the non-nap day average. On days where I took a nap, it took me on average 2.44 hours to get to work, but on days where I didn't, it took 3.36. So about an hour difference, which seems pretty significant. So it seems like that might be a method that is helping me. However, it's kind of hard for me to know without doing more analysis, but I kind of wanted to wait until I had more data to be able to do a more statistically significant ANOVA analysis. I want to see if the improvements, the treatments, had a significant effect on my data. And in order to do that, I'm going to continue to collect data and implement my improvement techniques until the end of the project. So I will see you then with my last data. Thank you.